Okay, perfect. So, hi, I'm ALida Hernandez. Here we are again at Rebooted the podcast. We have episode 3, season 2, and I have a special guest with me today, Talia Boone. Is that how you say it?
That's it,
And from
Talia Boone.
Postal Petals. So, everybody's probably interested to see what is Postal Petals. So, we're going to dive into that pretty soon. But first, we're going to find out who is Talia. So, tell me a little bit about your background, first of all.
Oh, well, first of all, Lita, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the podcast today. My background is actually I went to school for communication and public relations. I worked for several years in sports PR, and then that kind of evolved into sports and entertainment, brand strategy, brand partnerships, marketing, communication. Before my flower company, the last company that I owned was a technical solutions agency called Intersect. And what we do is we operate right at the intersection of sports and entertainment, corporate and consumer brands, and social impact. And what that means is that we deploy the resources of corporate America, uh, pair them with the social equity of sports and entertainment assets for the purpose of tangible, measurable social impact in the categories of human and civil rights issues. And during the pandemic, which actually ultimately brings me here today, I started a immersive floral and self-care company called Postal Petals. And what we do is we ship bundles of fresh cut flowers to our customers nationwide for them to create their own do-it-yourself flower arrangements as a form of creative expression and self-care.
Wow, wow, wow. So it's very interesting. You came in from sports, marketing, PR, and then flowers. So
Mhm.
what got you to the flowers? How did you get that idea or, how did you do that? Mhm.
Yeah, so the flowers, it was a fluke, man. It's funny, I was telling somebody earlier, if you would have told me 3 years ago today that I would have a flower company, I would have been like, you are bugging. Like, no chance, no how. I know where my path is, and it has nothing to do with flowers. But sometimes you make plans and God laughs, right?
Yeah,
So the way
it's
that
true.
came to start the flower company is that it actually was a hobby that I picked up several years ago. And it started when a friend of mine wanted to do flower arranging, really just as a friend activity. She and I, whenever we get together to hang out, we always would do things that we'd never done before. So it was just this thing of always stretching ourselves and trying new things. And so one time for one of our outings, she suggested flower arranging, and I really enjoyed it. And I liked the way it made me feel. It just felt very relaxing. I just felt very calm and very peaceful after. And so it kind of, without me realizing it, became that activity, that I would do whenever I would feel stressed out or whenever I'd feel
Mm,
anxious or just need to, kind of decompress or, go into myself. I would just, go down to the LA flower market, mill around and find, whatever flowers I thought were beautiful,
mm,
really good together. And then I would go home and, pour a cup of tea or a glass of wine, turn on some music or a meditation, and then just give myself the space to just get lost in the flowers. And I
mm,
didn't have the language for it then, but what that was is that it just became my regular routine for self care.
mm,
And it just became what I would do whenever I needed to, like I said, just decompress. And so, fast forward to the early days of the pandemic, we went on lockdown here in LA in mid March. And it was supposed to just
right.
be, 2 quick weeks lockdown. The virus was going to dissipate and then we were going to go right back to normal. As you know, that is not what happened.
No.
Yeah, not even close. And by the end of April, we were 6 weeks in the house with no end in sight. And I kind of started to panic, really just thinking about, the uncertainty of it all, what it meant for me, my family, my work, my life, all of those things. And the walls just really started closing in on me. And it was actually my therapist who suggested that I try flower arranging again. She was like, I haven't heard you talk about flower arranging in a while. Why don't you try that and see if it helps to calm you down? And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I
Mm,
haven't, it's been since I think probably late the year before. So it's at least 4 or 5 months. So I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I'll do that. And so the only problem was that the LA flower market was still closed because of the
mm,
lockdowns. And so I thought, all right, well, you can go online and get anything on, online and delivered to you at that point. So I said, oh, I'll just go and find a company that delivers fresh cut flowers. To my surprise, that did not exist
Mm.
at that time. And so it was, yeah, of course you can get flowers delivered, but they were going to be the traditional ready to use arrangements that you would get from
Right.
a florist. It wasn't going to be an opportunity for me to really engage with the flowers and arrange them myself. And so I kept scouring the internet trying to find someone that could send me flowers. And I stumbled upon, excuse me, this wholesale flower distributor who ships really large volumes of flowers. Pardon me. Really large volumes of flowers to his customers nationwide. And I called him and asked him really just with, excuse me, excuse me.
That's fine. While she drinks some water, we'll just hang tight for Talia.
My apologies. I've been doing a ton of talking this week, so
Yeah,
my
that's
apologies. Yeah,
no
there's a
problem.
lot going on here. But I called him really just to ask him if he could reduce his minimums to send me just enough flowers to arrange myself at home. And while he right away told me, absolutely no, that can't happen. Hold on.
So I don't want to have dead air, so I'll keep talking while she gets a sip of water. So as we continue with the saga of the flowers, which is really interesting because a lot of us use art. When I was sick, my doctor told me to use my other side of my brain because I'm so technical. So he said, be creative, start coloring, start drawing. So I
Mhm.
bought coloring books for adults and I started doing that. So it's kind of interesting with the flowers that it takes you have the aroma, the smell of the flower, you have the color of the flower also, which combines and the therapy, I think, for the self-care, the aroma, the colors, and then actually touching them, the feel and touch and everything like that, which just seems so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it gives a lot more texture to the experience because it's not just, coloring. And it really, I love that you brought up coloring because ultimately the way that I was using flowers was like what people would do with like art therapy or music therapy. It just for me,
Mm,
was floral therapy. and and I was really looking forward to help me at that point. And so, kind of going back to what I was saying before my cough attacked me, was that I called this gentleman and really asked him if he could reduce his minimums enough to send me just enough flowers to arrange at home. And while he right away told me no, that wasn't possible, he was one very kind in his no, but also very gracious in his explanation as to why. And so he and I ended up on the phone for about 2.5 hours. And
wow.
during that conversation, I realized two things. One, that what I was looking for did not exist in the marketplace in the way that I was looking for it. And because of my background in marketing and PR, and brand strategy and partnerships, I knew that I, had the experience to fill that need. The second thing that I recognized was an opportunity to enter the floral industry, which typically would have a gatekeeper culture. But because of the pandemic, many flower farms were, really looking for new ways to bring their products to market because the pandemic, essentially shut down their businesses, right? So like the things that people would typically have flowers for events, weddings, offices, all those kind of things were all, canceled. No one was in offices at that point. Very few people were in
Yeah.
offices. People weren't having weddings and events. And so many farms were, kind of desperate to find new ways to bring their products to market. And so there was an opportunity there. And by the end of the conversation, I just asked this gentleman straight out because the idea came to me during that conversation. I said, hey, do you think something like this could work? And I described to him a service that would, partner with the domestic flower farms to ship bundles of fresh cut flowers to customers for them to create their own arrangements. And I asked if that would work. And he thought for a second. He said, if you'd have asked me this a few months ago, I would have said, absolutely not. But, given what's happening now, that actually something like that could work. And that was the beginning of May, the week before Mother's Day 2020. And by July of that same year, we launched Postal Petals in beta, and we've been off to the races since. And we when we launched in July of 2020, we had almost 20 farm partners signed up to ship for us. And so what we do is we partner with them. We curate the recipes for the flowers to go in one of our 3 box sizes. Our boxes come anywhere from 6 to 12 bundles of flowers, and we ship them to our customers nationwide, everywhere except for Hawaii and Alaska, for our customers to create their own arrangements. And we also do virtual and in-person floral design workshops, as well as we have a layered B2B offering for corporate partners, where we'll do virtual or in-person floral design workshops as part of their employee team
Mm,
building activities or corporate health and wellness programs. We also do corporate gifting with either our fresh flower boxes or our shelf stable customizable corporate gift kits. And then lastly, we do, excuse me, we do large scale floral art installations with immersive and interactive engagements right next to them. So we may do like a think like for like Coachella or Afro Punk, and we may have like a large floral installation that people could take pictures in front of and post on
nice.
Instagram. Right next to it, we'll have an interactive station where they could do things like create wearables to wear like flower crowns around the festival or something like that. And so the goal with what we're doing with our flowers is, in a lot of ways we're disrupting the floral industry, right? And a lot of our goal is really to evolve people's relationship with flowers from a ready to use product to an interactive wellness experience. And again, going back to the original question of how I got into flowers, it was the ways in which I utilized the flowers to bring me peace and to for a therapeutic practice that really helped me to understand that we had really just been using flowers all wrong for basically all of my life. So I was really excited to start the company, and we're going into our 3rd year, and it's been an incredible ride.
That's awesome. That's such an awesome story. I love flowers. I looked at your website. I see all the different flowers. I haven't figured out yet how to order them yet, but I was just thinking, as you can see behind me, I have a new studio here in Fort Lauderdale,
Very
and
nice.
we rent out the venue for weddings and birthdays and everything. So we'll have to talk later because I would love to partner with you so that way we can offer that here to our customers, because that would be awesome, especially like weddings, birthdays, especially the weddings. You know,
Yeah.
when you have specialized flowers, and it's not just like the same roses, or like when you go to the regular florist, they have like standard flowers. They don't
Yeah.
have like the exotic flowers or
Yeah.
different things like that. So you offer all those things, right? You have all
Oh,
different types
yeah.
of flowers.
Yeah, we definitely do. So we have our 2 kind of staple boxes that will always be there, which is a box that has mostly roses and
Right.
another box that has nothing but Gerbera daisies. And so
Okay.
those are our 2 mainstays. Roses because they're a traditional flower, daisies because they're very easy to work with. And so if kids want to get a box and have, some we have people that will order boxes and do like birthday parties for their kids, and they have like flower arranging, and daisies are perfect for that. But we always have 4 or 5 seasonal mixes in that are available any given any given month, and those are
Right.
always just whatever is in season. And to your point, we're really intentional about stepping outside of the box of what you would see at a traditional florist, and really expanding people's palate and their taste and experience with flowers. And so yeah, we have a really good variety. And I love that you brought up weddings, and because we have a lot of people that actually will order our multiple big boxes of our flowers and do their own weddings, or they'll order our flowers, and then they will it might be a bride or a bridesmaid, and they will create their own hand ties, their own bouquets, their bridal bouquets with
Right.
our flowers. And so it's an activity, but it's also we've actually had event florists, like wedding florists, who will order our
Right.
flowers. We have better varieties a lot of times, and they'll get at their local flower market. So yeah,
How
we
long
will.
how long does it take? Like if I live in Fort Lauderdale. I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now, Florida. So I would order the flowers. How long does it take to ship?
Oh, so we ship Mondays through Thursdays, Fridays if you have Saturday delivery, and we always ship overnight. So if
Oh,
we ship
okay.
on Monday, you get them on Tuesday. We ship on Thursday, you get them on Friday. So it's always
Okay.
overnight. They are packed in such a way that if it takes an extra day or two, they will usually be fine. But we intentionally ship overnight because, again, you have to remember that flowers are
Right.
perishable. And then what
Correct.
we always tell people is to give yourself enough time to kind of rehydrate the flowers, right? Remembering that, we always say that our flowers are on your doorstep within 36 hours of them being cut. But you also have to remember that they are off a life source for the time that they're in transit. And so you may get them, they arrive and they may look a little bit limp, but if you give them a little bit of trim, put them in water, within an hour or two, they perk right up. And they'll be good for you for, 7, 10, 14 days, depending on, how well you take care of them while they're in the vase.
That's wonderful. That's a great idea. And it's great because you thought of that during the pandemic because everybody did whatever they had to do. I started working out during like July of 2020.
Ah,
And I started with my trainer that I've known for a while. She had a new program. So I started training with her and I haven't stopped yet. I'm already down like 65 pounds and kind
that's
of transformed my
amazing.
life. Thanks,
Congratulations.
thanks. So it's
Yeah,
been awesome. So it's great that, it's good that when you're in a situation that you're depressed and you're going through all the weirdness that we went through in 2020, that you find something positive to get out of it,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
And
and it was really beautiful to do because, like I said, it was something that brought me joy anyway, and it's interesting because I find that I'm getting the same joy from building this company that I was getting from arranging the flowers, which brought me to this in the first place. So it's quite. I feel pretty fortunate.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Another thing that I was thinking about the pandemic that we did was because I lived in a house, so we had enough
Hmm.
space to go outside by the pool and everything. So there's a lot of birds here in Florida. So we started
Hmm.
feeding the birds. So my mother and my aunt would come out, and that was therapy. Watching the red cardinals come in, and the white doves, and all these different type of birds that would come. So that was another kind of therapy that we did.
Yeah, what's interesting in the early days of the pandemic, I would just because it's also interesting how much time we got back, right? I didn't think about how much time I spent in transit for meetings or just going about
Mm.
running errands and all these things. And I would just do things like look out the window and just watch, listen to the birds chirp, watch the trees sway, and just slow sip tea. Do you know what I mean? Just really giving
Yeah.
myself a chance to just appreciate the moment. It was a really beautiful time. I know that there were a lot of people who suffered and who really struggled with the isolation, but I will say that I thrived in that time because it gave me a chance to recharge. I'm an extreme introvert. Most people are surprised to hear that, but I'm actually an extreme introvert, and so I definitely recharge with my own energy. And so it was just a really beautiful time to be introspective and to get to know myself a little bit more. And it was lovely. It was
Yeah,
really
it's
lovely.
true.
It
It's
was
true. I
nice.
feel I feel feel the same way. You know that saying about don't forget to smell the roses, right? Don't forget to smell the flowers. You need to stop, see the birds, smell the flowers, and enjoy life.
Yeah, and I thought what was really interesting, what I started to notice during that time is how much more wildlife you saw. Now, granted, I live in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, in California, so there's not a lot of wildlife around here, but you definitely started to see more birds. You started to see the smog clear up. You started to see, like, you could actually
Yeah.
start to
Oh,
smell the air be better. It just was very interesting. It was almost like the way that my therapist described it was just like when you have a wet dog and they just kind of shake, shake, shake. And she was like, it's almost like the earth was kind of doing that and just kind of shaking off all of the muck. And it was really beautiful, actually, and insightful to see how quickly it recovered with just having a limited human touch, right? And so you hear people talk about global warming and our impact on the
yeah.
environment. We're really paying attention. You would have seen how much, at least where I am, how much it changed when we were not, kind of pulling from it all the time. We weren't driving cars all the time. Planes weren't flying like they were. We weren't doing all those things. And I definitely saw a difference in the way that just the world around me looked. It was really
Yeah. It's
interesting.
true.
Yeah.
It's very true. I used to live in LA, so I know what you're talking about because there the traffic is Unbelievable. I mean, I've been gone for 23 years now, so it's very different. But I know the traffic when here in Florida, to not hear a car on the highway was so weird. I'm like, why is it so
Yeah.
quiet? Like it was deafening, right? The silence was deafening.
Yeah.
We would go to the store, we would go to the store and there's no cars. It was
Yeah.
so weird. It was really weird. It was almost like it was the end of the world. Nobody's
Yeah.
left, and you're the only people in the street, you know?
That's exactly how it felt. And it was,
Yeah, it did.
no, it was still oddly peaceful
Yeah.
until it wasn't. Yeah, it was oddly peaceful until it wasn't. And I was just like, are we still in life? Like, where are these people still around? Like, what's going on? Why am I the only one out here?
So you mentioned something I wanted to understand that you said that you do it also for to help people in society too in the community about socials and justice and different things like that. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so we with the flowers, and this just kind of comes because, anything, because I care deeply about people in the community in which I live, the communities in which I serve. I'm always, 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 always with anything I do, gonna find a way to, to serve our community. And because of the therapeutic benefits that I have found in floral, with floral arranging, I'm really intentional about finding ways to deploy our flowers into the community. And so we actively look for opportunities to partner with the social institutions that sit at the centerpiece of our communities, like schools and
Mm,
community centers, rehab facilities, even correctional facilities, and law enforcement agencies, and using taking our flowers in to introduce them to flower arranging as as like an entry point to mindfulness and to self-care and to
mm,
attending to their emotional wellness. And here in LA, we actually have one coming up this weekend. We do free community wellness events where we partner with a greenhouse, a nursery called the Plant Chica, and the Black Women's Yoga Collective, a woman by the name of Mel. And we do community wellness events, and we'll start with a really gentle yoga session, followed by a sound bath or guided
mm,
meditation, and then we'll bring that energy into a really peaceful floral design workshop. And it's really beautiful because we are really introducing people to flowers for wellness. And I love, love, love doing those events because at the end of them, people are always just like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. I never thought about flowers in this way. Thank you so much for doing this. And we have people that come back over and over again. When also the events fill up very, very fast. We, you know, dropped it yesterday. Within an hour, it was full. We've got people emailing, can we get on the wait list? And so
oh,
we're
wow.
gonna we it's really amazing. And we're looking for ways that we can start to grow and do more of them. We'll need to likely bring in like corporate partners, local partners to kind of help underwrite the cost of them. But we definitely want to do more of them because I think one of the other things, talking about the pandemic and what came out of it, is that people really um, understood came to understand how important it is to prioritize your mental health, and how
Mm.
important it is to prioritize your self-care. And so people coming and participating in our community wellness event for me is just an extension of that, an extension of people really understanding how important it is for them to take time to really center their wellness. So I really enjoy doing those.
That's great. You've covered like all the self-care. People before I didn't understand self-care, like that word, it's self-explanatory, but it was
Mhm.
almost like it was a selfish kind of thing. Like when you say, "Oh, I'm going to take care of myself," they're like, "Oh, why are you going to do that? Why are you going to get a massage? Or why are you going to get, things like that?" And I'm learning as I go older now that you
Yeah,
must have self-care. If it's
yeah.
extra sleep or like I live near the beach, going to the beach, just sitting
Mhm.
there, just listen to the waves, just to decompress.
Yeah,
You have to decompress. Our world's too hectic and
yeah,
too crazy out there to handle everything. So that's
yeah.
great. I look forward to getting some flowers. I gotta look online there, and we'll have to do a little wine and flower arrangement here at the studio.
I love that. We always, I always talk about it, the importance of collaboration, and self care should really be a part of your lifestyle. And so we're
Right.
always looking to partner with like wine companies to do like wine tasting and flower arranging, or spirits brands and doing like cocktail mixing and flower arranging. And we've done, tea meditations and flower arranging. So yeah, whenever you're ready to do a wine tasting, anything in flower arranging in your space, you let me know and I'll ship my flowers out and we'll come set it up.
All right, cool. That'd be great. That would
Yeah.
be awesome. This is so exciting. I saw when I got the email, it just intrigued me. I'm like, I don't know, it just stood out, and I said, "I have to talk to Talia because I have to see what these postal petals are. This is awesome."
Oh,
Especially now
thank
we order
you.
so much stuff through the internet. Things are harder now. You can't really go to stores. A lot of brick and mortar stores are closing. So
Yeah,
it's hard, like even just to go shopping for clothes and things like that. It's not
mhm.
like it used to be. So you have to
Yeah, it's
adapt
very
as we go.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I appreciate your kind words. I'm glad that it stuck out to you. I'm so humbled by the reception that we've gotten with our flowers, and it's something that people say like, "Wow, that's such a good idea. I never thought about that before." And I'm like, it's so good, and I feel so honored to have been selected to build this company, right? Because I just I don't see it like, oh, this was my idea and I built this whole thing. Like I definitely feel like I was chosen, and I'm so grateful because I am obsessed. I love this company so much. Such a good
When
time
you
building it, and I get to play with flowers all day.
Oh, that's wonderful. Hey, they say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So
Yep,
that's exactly
very
that's how
true.
I mean, it's taken me most of my life to figure that out, but I have. So now that's what I do. I do what I love and connect people like you and just trying to give back through rebooted. I don't know if you know my story, but I had a stroke 6 years ago.
Hmm.
So when I had my stroke, it changed me completely in the sense I had lost 50% of my left side. So I had to relearn many things, movements, get myself healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So in the course of the last 6 years, I've learned so much. So now about mindset, about health, about holistic acupuncture, just so many different things out there, the self care, things that you need to do to take care of yourself so you don't have a stroke
Hmm.
or a heart attack.
Yeah.
So I just want to like, just, meeting people like you and other people out there to help others out there to learn about self care and learning to take care of their physical being because you only got one body. And without this, you
Yeah.
can't do anything. So,
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I applaud you for doing that because so many people, they get too busy and they just don't recognize the importance of it. And it's not just it's yes, you want to work out and take care of your physical body, but it's so important to take care of your emotional health and your mental health because
exactly.
without that you can't get far.
No, you need everything. Body, mind, soul, and spirit. That's what I say.
Yeah,
So whatever
yeah,
faith people have, but at least have a higher power, something that's going to make you a better person and stay positive and stay in the light. That's for sure.
yeah.
So I
Absolutely. I love
appreciate your time so much. I know you've been talking like crazy, so but this is great. Congratulations, and we'll speak again soon.
it.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you
us
so
here at
much. I
Rebooted.
really, really appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Let me
Bye.
just end this here. Okay, and record.